All right, troops, welcome to the Actually. My name is Owen. So today we're doing my first ever video interview with Joe Cornet and Alexander Nevsky. And today we're going to be talking about Taken from Rio Bravo. So thanks, guys, for joining me today. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
So, Joe, first of all, what was the initial spark or idea that led to creation of the Rio Bravo movies?
Well, we started off with just making obviously gunfight at Rio Bravo, but the idea was very once we got into it. I think Alexander can probably add more detail to it from here, but our distributor was very enthusiastic about it. The audience reaction was very enthusiastic, even before we came out with the film, because it was so unique, being a mashup of great action with, kind of spaghetti Western and traditional Western. And I think it was the enthusiasm for the idea. Well, this could be and should be a franchise. Alexander?
Jon, first of all, yes, it's our first video interview, but let me thank you again and now on air for all your support, because you started to support my movies and our movies, which we're making with Joe a long time ago. So thank you very much for supporting us and for supporting independent filmmakers. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
My absolute pleasure. You're welcome.
And talking about our Rio Bravo franchise, of course, I mean, it's, I think, huge Joe's achievement that he was able to basically marry these two genres, action and spaghetti westerns. So people who like old school action, like yourself, they would be happy to see like Matthias Hughes and Olivier Gruner, doing his great kickboxing moves, right? And people who still, watch Clint Eastwood's great spaghetti westerns, which he made with Sergio Leone, almost 50, 60 years ago, they still would like it because it was made with real love to these both genres. And the second one actually was no-brainer because the first one, I mean, even now, it was released in the United States in January 2023. Now it's official Prime Video movie, so it's free with subscription, but also, I mean, it's on all the digital platforms, on all of them, with no exceptions, for rent, for buy, for free, with ads, whatever. So it was successful. Plus, it was released in 32 countries, somewhere in theatrical release, somewhere on Blu-ray, somewhere on Prime Video, somewhere on Hulu, whatever. But it was released everywhere. So from business point of view, it was no-brainer. And from fun point of view, if I can say it in English, it was no-brainer because I cannot even call this work. It's not work. It's just, I mean, of course, there's a lot of, things here and there, but it's huge fun. It's huge fun to make this movies, and I'm sure we'll continue.
Yeah. And what's interesting about these movies is that Ivan is based on a real person. How did you first come across that in all your research?
That's interesting because when Joe and I started to talk about first film, Gunfight at Rio Bravo, originally Joe had different movie in mind, and actually it was Joe's idea to somehow, use the fact that I'm Russian, I'm from Europe, and original idea Joe had was also close to like hero, like a bodyguard of Lincoln or something like that. And when I just proposed to him that idea to him, that there's a character who I knew about that character, because he's quite famous, and for people who love history, I think he's only Russian who was like a real hero of Civil War in the United States. So, yeah, we show him after the war, and we, show him more in action and everything. But if you study history a little bit, you will see that he was hero in real life. Maybe not. I don't know if he had huge biceps or whatever, but he was a real hero. He was.
Yeah. Well, now this is obviously the second movie, So where are Kelly and Ivan at this stage compared to the first movie?
Please, Joe.
Well, this story picks up some months later, and it primarily deals with these what they call compradores. These are people that are in the flesh for cash business on the southern border, skin slavers, as they used to call them, bust into the town of Blind Chapel, where Sheriff Kelly is the sheriff, as we know, and Ivan is the owns the general store. And this action is set off by the kidnapping of a couple of the women of this town, and they've already kidnapped other women from other neighboring towns. And this sets off the story because Ivan is friends with both of the women, but one of the Jenny Gray is the paramour of Sheriff Vernon Kelly. And there's a rumor that they're going to get married, and then she's kidnapped, so it sets them on the trail. And at first, Sheriff Kelly is a little apprehensive about it because 2 against God knows how many, and Ivan reassures him, of course. and we set off on this trek across the southern part of Texas.
Mm-hmm. And of course, at the beginning, we've got Cynthia Rothrock, Queen of Martial Arts herself. How did she get involved?
She is, I won't give away her part of the storyline, but she is related to the 2 girls that are kidnapped. And she comes to town to visit them. And we do have Cynthia performing many of her signature moves in a fight sequence early on in the film. That's all I'll say. It's very exciting. And but the spider kick, everything that she's known for, she does in this.
Yeah.
And it was a thrill having her there.
Yeah. You've worked together on a couple of movies. Why do you think you both work so well together? Alexander, I'll point this one at you.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of like classic action. And instead of you guys, I watched these movies on pirated videos back in Soviet Union because, I was born in Soviet Union. It was still Soviet Union in 80s. They never released American action movies over there. Thanks to Mr. Gorbachev, we got Perestroika, and they started to release them, but on those pirated videos. And the great thing was, they actually released 2 movies on one videotape. So basically, you can get 2 for the price of 1. And the pirates, they were also born in Soviet Union, so they didn't see the difference in between like $50 million Red Hit, which Arnold Schwarzenegger made with Belushi, and I don't know, $1 million Blood Feast, which Roger Corman made with Don the Dragon Wilson. So they just put them on one video, movies like that. And of course, Matthias Hughes movies, Cynthia Rothrock movies, Gary Daniels movies, Mark Dacascos' movies, and all of that. So when I watched them, along with millions of others, we didn't see the difference. We thought, all these guys, they're great, and they were great action heroes, and great stars and all of that. So when I started to produce movies myself, many years later, for Moscow Hit, which was like my first real film as a producer, I was so thrilled to get Michael York, of course. And Michael York, I loved him because of Cabaret and Three Musketeers and Austin Powers and his and Logan's Run and other movies he did over the years. But I also started to work with people who I really admire from an action world. And in Moscow Hit, it was Adrian Paul from Highlander TV show. It was Richard Tyson from Kindergarten Cop, right? In Treasure Raiders, it was David Carradine from Kill Bill. It was Andrew Divo from Wishmaster, from Another 48 Hours, and so on. And it's just so with Gunfight at Rio Bravo, when me and Joe were producing our first film together, I told him, Joe, let's just try to have action stars in a film because they're all great actors and also they can perform those amazing, martial arts moves, which a lot of people actually miss. And you asked me about other movie I made with Cynthia Rothrock, Showdown in Manila. I remember you saw it and you liked it, and Joe liked it a lot. I mean, let's just count how many people did I have there. Yes, it was Cynthia, it was Mark Dacascos who also directed. It was Casper Van Dien, it was Tia Carrera, it was Kerry Tagawa, it was Olivier Gruner, it was Matthias Hughes, and Robert Madrid, and a lot of people. So I'm still a huge fan, Jan. And I think as well as you are, because you really enjoying this kind of movies. I saw your photos, right, with Dolph Lundgren. I saw your photos with other actors who you really admire because of their work, but also probably because of the impact which we all saw during the 80s and 90s, especially you, two of you, because you have, people here in America and Canada and all the Western world. So again, it's no-brainer for me to continue to work with these people and enjoy it in full. And then taken from Rio Bravo, yes, we have Cynthia Rothrock, we have Matthias Hughes, we have Don the Dragon Wilson, we have Tatiana Neva, we have Kerry Goodwin, who Joe just mentioned his bride, Jenny. We have my friend Robert Madrid. We have James Chalk, who's also a great guy and great actor and real martial artist, real deal, and Dolph Lundgren's longtime sparring partner. So if I continue to talk like that, your audience will think like, hey, they have another action movie. But again, thanks to Joe, we have an action movie, but also we have like a real great independent Western. And movie right now in North America, movie right now exclusively is on Zumo Play. It's NBC Universal's platform. People can watch it free with ads. And on November 1st, it will be released everywhere on all the digital platforms and DVD as well. So I personally make sure, that me and Joe will sign DVD for you as I always do, and we'll send it to you.
No, I'm a physical media guy, as you can see there. I got 5 bookcases full of movies, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
From watching the movie, you mentioned earlier, Alexander, how it just didn't feel like work, and just watching the movie, it just feels like everybody was just having a fun time. Like, yes, it was work, but what was the atmosphere on the set just as fun as it looked? Just a question for both of you.
Yes. I will let Joe. Yeah, I will let Joe to talk about atmosphere. But before he starts, let me tell you, Jan, that it's Joe's achievement again, because director is your captain. He's your captain. And Joe knows I'm telling this from my heart. He's my friend. He's my great friend now. But also, it's true what I'm saying. It's not a compliment. You really depend on the director. You depend on him to get you a great movie because you produce and you act. But also, you depend on him to organize those working process and those atmosphere. And he definitely can do it, and that's why we all had fun. But please, Joe, how did you do it, Joe? Please give audience your secret.
There really is no secret other than you get the right mix of people, cast, crew, everybody, and we've been blessed and lucky to get the people that we've had, and everybody just works together for the same goal in having fun and making a great, fun movie. And the sets were all and the locations were always nice to be on. Everyone was so cooperative. I just, as a director, you always have to deal with problems because things change hour by hour, day by day. So what you do is very, very simply, you get ready to adapt. Just always have your mind around the fact that something maybe missing here, so you have to adapt. Something extra might have been added here, so you need to adapt. So Ringo Starr used to say when he'd sit behind his drums, always be ready. That's the secret, really. Always be ready. But it helps if you have somebody like Alex and all of our other great people to be positive and supportive and make suggestions and hear other suggestions, and it makes for a better dynamic on that set, you know, where everybody is working harmoniously.
Okay. I thought James Chalk was fantastic as the villain. He was just so hateful. He was just such a
Very
monster.
sinister.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he was really could be really, really scary. Why was he so perfect for the role? Apart from the
Joe?
fact that he was scary.
well, he's an interesting guy, and he has a very, very interesting background. He was in the Royal Navy. He was like basically what was he, Alex? He was a frogman, and you know, he was
Yes,
in
he was. Yes, he was. And after that, I think he studied Kyokushinkai karate like for
yes,
decades. So
yes,
he's
yes.
the real deal. Yeah, he's gone.
He's the real deal. He
Mm.
said it exactly. He's the real deal. And so he brings that aura and that dynamic with him. So to put him in a context of where he's malevolent and evil, it's very easy, and it was fun watching him do this. And I remember some of the other actors were kind of terrified to be around him because, and this was before we even saw the film, you know, just him doing it live right there in front of the lens. And he was very frightening. He was terribly sinister.
But please don't get us wrong. I mean, he's a great guy in real life. He's an
Oh,
amazing guy.
yes. Yes.
He is. I mean, very friendly,
And very funny
fun to be
too.
around with.
Yeah.
Yes, and funny, and he always likes to smoke cigars, which is a huge plus, in my opinion, and
Of
Joe's
course.
opinion. Yes, he's an amazing guy. It's just again, I think yes, he's a great actor, and also thanks to Joe and his Joe's directing, he was able to show that. But also we should mention, of course, our writer Greg Hammond, because he
Yes.
wrote a great script. He wrote a great script, and it's always easier. And now I'm talking to you as a producer. It's always easier when you work with people who know what to do. And if you have a great script, if you have a great director, if you have great actors, it's not that hard. Still hard, but not that hard to make a nice film. And of course, we're talking about independent movies. And with independent movies, which don't have like backing from studios or big streaming platforms, of course, you're dealing with limited budgets, you limited amount of times, and that's why again, it's very important to have professionals around you and to have people who fun to work with. It's super important. And what else I want to say to your audience, because I know a lot of people who love action films, they also dream about being an action film or make their own action film, be more involved in an industry. And some try, and a lot of people think it's impossible, whatever. It is possible. It is possible to achieve your dreams. And for your audience out there, just continue to push, guys. Just continue to believe in yourselves. Continue to watch great movies. Continue to watch our movies. Continue to read Action Elite about other guys, who really making it, and push harder for your dreams. And by the way, just last week, I attended a private screening because my beautiful Tatiana Neva, she is starring in a new film, Prayer of Wrath. It's a great action film, which soon will be released, and it was a private screening. But again, over there, we had a lot of like great independent filmmakers who is working on their movies also because they cannot do otherwise. So again, for all those guys who are watching us now, just push harder for your dreams. I think that's another secret, right, Joe?
Absolutely. You just got to be relentless and focused, laser focused. So many people with any kind of project in this field, they get the project to a certain point and then it just, for whatever reason, it can't be finished. And that's why I appreciate working with this gentleman, because we sit down, and him mostly, and we strategize, and we have a cohesive plan for what we're going to do next. So everything is, it's not just about, it's like storyboarding for, a Hitchcock film. Everything was always storyboarded for Hitch. Well, we kind of follow the same policy, but in a broader sense. Not only do we storyboard, but we storyboard the whole process, the post-production, we think ahead. We think ahead to how we're working with the distributor. What does the audience want to see? How do we promote it? These kinds of things. We're always thinking ahead. And that's, I think, our secret on why we get it done. So it goes back to my always be prepared. And, of course, as he just mentioned, professionalism is everything. And we've always been fortunate to work with these people that are extremely prepared and professional.
Yeah.
And if I may just interrupt you for a second, just to add what Joe just said, because it's super important. Again, I think it should be super important for your audience, because yes, even for those people who dare to fight for the dream, they still need to have a plan.
Yes.
Plan. And they still have to remember that it's like a big puzzle. They definitely could do it, but it's a puzzle. Puzzle is to find a great script. Puzzle is to find the money. Yeah, it's the hardest puzzle. Puzzle is to get great people to work with and organize production. Puzzle is to finish the movie in the right way with all the post-production. Puzzle is to have a great distributor and to find North American distribution, international distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And when movie is released, to support the movie. Not to think that, movie is out, let's try to find the next one. No, it's like your kid. It's like a flower. You still have to support it. You still have to make sure people know about your movie. People want to watch your movie, because there's so many movies around now, especially because of all the streaming platforms. So that's why, again, I started with that, and I'll continue to say it. Thank you, Jon, and your colleagues, because what you're doing, you easily can write just about big releases, big stars, studio releases, streaming, big streaming releases. But what you're doing, you also support independent filmmakers, and that's an amazing thing. So thank you again.
Oh, no problem at all. My pleasure. Now, Joe, how do you approach handling stunts and action sequences in the film, especially when you're on a budget?
Well, the stunts and action in the fight choreography was all largely the gift of having Art Camacho in our production, in both the first and this one that's currently out, taken from Rio Bravo. And he is, again, I go back to professionalism. He's one of the most professional guys I've ever had the pleasure of meeting and working with. And he comes in and he has his ideas, and then he executes them. With a guy like this, I don't waste a lot of time. I just let him do his thing, and he gets me, and he gets Alexander everything we want. And I once asked him on the set to describe how he gets this, and he always approached it, well, you've got these great action people, so you want that. The audience is going to want that type of action, but incorporating it into a Western film context. So you have a little bit of that tradition meets the wild outrageousness of the action film genre. and art is great at inventing that kind of stuff. And of course, we have the big guy here, Alexander Nevsky, who looks over everything, and he approves the action. And if you look at his action in this movie, it's some of the most interesting things I think he's done. There's a couple of scenes that I'm a big fan of in the first movie, in Gunfight at Rio Bravo, but there's some scenes in this that I think are in some ways even better, more over the top, more fun. Just watching Alexander do his thing. You got to see it.
Yeah. But Joe, actually we're in a good company here, because you remember, Jon was the first one who wrote in his review that Gunfight at Rio Bravo is my best film today.
Yes.
And yeah, and I remember that, and it made you happy.
We appreciate
it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And it's so interesting, because it's another reason why you should just keep pushing. Like the Churchill said, right? The only way is through, right? If you I mean, he mentioned hell. We can say it's fun. It's not hell, independent filmmaking, but still, the only way is through. Because look at Maximum Impact, which cost like almost $8 million and looked like $30 million, and was directed by Andrzej Bartkowiak, who directed Roma Must Die and Cradle to the Grave, and was written by Ruslan Mannak, who created Rush Hour franchise and all of that. And I had a lot of co-stars, and I had a lot of stunts and whatever. Completely different budget compared to Westerns we're making now. And I had fun with this film. And we had, I think, James Liu was our fight choreographer, and I'm sure you know him, you know of him and his work.
Legend.
Everything was great. And this movie was supposed to be my best action movie, but I think even you politely, I remember you kind of liked the film, but even you politely in your review and when we exchanged emails, even you mentioned that it wasn't really an action film. It was more like action comedy with a lot of characters and all of that. And Gunfight at Rio Bravo, my very first Western, because where's me and where's Western? Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, and this film became my best film, which I, as an actor, and as a producer, and if we talk about action, and again, talking about professionalism and talking about fun, it was possible because of Mr. Joe Cornet, and mostly him, because Joe is also flexible in a good way, and because director can easily suck all your blood, and it doesn't matter if you make an independent film or studio film, easily. And director as your captain, again, maybe he will start to suck your blood, not because he wants to, but because he really believes it should be this, not that. Joe is flexible. He's strong and tough guy, but he's flexible, kind of like me. Because if I know your idea is better, I will not push for mine only because look at me and I have to push for that. So that's another secret I think we have in our team, and what your audience should also think of. People should be flexible. People should, in independent business, they should surround themselves with professionals who they believe to, and who they trust to. And it's just, again, there's so many little things. That's why I like to call it puzzle. But our Westerns is just, how you say, God smile, these Westerns. Because I remember I never rode a horse. I never shot Western rifles. I never did spinning before with a gun. Never. Before Joe introduced me to that. Yeah, I like some Westerns. I did. Not much, but I watched some of Clint Eastwood films, whatever, but I wasn't that involved. And thanks to Joe now, right now we're doing our third Western together. We're in production of our third Western together. Joe, please, say something about that one, because I think audience is really tired of my broken English.
Well, I think if you found these two Western films interesting, unusual, outrageous, groundbreaking, whatever, I think you're gonna like this next one. It's titled The Wide West, and imagine, if you will, it's based on a true incident, and it's set a little bit later in the Western period, in the waning days of the West. It's set in 1907. So that puts us in a great era of great Westerns like The Professionals and The Wild Bunch and that kind of thing. And it's the great Western elements, but this time meeting up with Japanese culture and Japanese martial arts, sumo wrestling. It's a very interesting script, again, by Craig Hammond. And it's one of the most excitingly unusual films that I think I've ever been involved with, because it's so something that you just don't expect. Yes, many 45, 50 years ago, there was a great movie called Red Sun with Charles Bronson, Alain Delon, and Toshiro Mifune. Fantastic movie. And that had a lot of those elements, of course, but we dive even deeper. And it was interesting to me because as a director, this was the first time I had non-English speaking actors on my set. And I don't speak Japanese very well, except to order at a sushi bar. But it was very interesting, all the elements of this, and it was interesting working through one of our producers acted as our interpreter as well. And we have, Alex, take it from here, we have two of the international superstars of sumo wrestling. Isn't that right?
Yes, and again, thank you, Jon, for supporting this one, because you remember I sent you a couple of photos and you mentioned it on the Action Elite, and we should talk a little bit about these guys. I mean, we can talk for hours, but we should just mention them for sure, because Hiroki, your audience will remember Hiroki from John Wick 4, and Ichi, the other great sumo wrestler who won Emperor's Cup in Japan. So he's one of the gods of sumo over there. He just finished working with Ana de Armas for John Wick spin-off for Ballerina. He has a great part over there. And we should mention our executive producer, Andrew Braun, who produced it with us and who helped Joe a lot with translation and who is always helping me. He's my longtime friend, Andrew. So again, we have a great team. And again, we have a great story and great fun. We're in production right now. We shot all the scenes which are dealing with the Japanese part of the story, and now we're just working on a more like Western part of the story. And again, we have a great cast, and Joe is acting in the film as well, not just directing. And we have Tatiana Neva, and we have Kerry Goodwin, and we have Bailey. We have a lot of great actors. And I think when your audience watch this one, as you just said, it will be even more interesting than Rio Bravo franchise. But after that one, we definitely go back to Last Heroes of Rio Bravo, because we already announced it. And I remember your review. You also said that, yeah, you're there for the ride. You will wait for the third one. Yes, definitely. Rio Bravo will go on.
Perfect. Yeah, I think maybe sticking in Mark Dacascos for Gary Daniels and that one would be cool. I'd love to see them again. But
definitely. Yes, one day, of course. Yes.
I don't see any reason why not. I mean, you've worked with Mark before. Mark just seems like the most awesome guy to work with. I've never actually interviewed him. He's one of the few people I've never actually interviewed, but I will at some point. But so, Joe, I believe you have a book coming out as well.
Thank you. I do. On October the 12th, Henry Gray Publishing will be releasing my first book of fiction. Here's a proof of the cover. And it's based on my first feature film I wrote, produced, and directed, which was called A Prayer for the Damned. But there's quite a number of twists and turns and differences between the novel version and my film version from a few years back. So I had good fun with that. And I threw in this 4 or 5, escapes me now exact number, additional stories just based on ideas and treatments I had for other screenplays throughout the years. And it's all Tales of the West. So it's A Prayer for the Damned and Other Tales of the West, coming soon from Henry Gray Publishing, October the 12th. You will be able to get it on Amazon. There will be an ebook version. I'm working now on the audiobook version. It'll be available in hardcover and paperback.
Excellent. We'll look forward to checking that out.
Thank you.
Just going back to Westerns for a second. People love to think that the Western genre is dead, but yet people keep making them, people keep watching them. What do you think the enduring appeal is of the Western genre? This is just for both of you.
Joe, please start, and I will add couple of ideas after that. Please do.
It's very simple. You know, people have been any number of critics or whatever has always said since the mid 1970s, the Western is dead. Okay. People were saying the Western is dead in 1975. And then Clint Eastwood releases The Outlaw Josie Wales, one of the greatest Western movies ever made. And then a couple of years later, what was it? The Long Riders. And then, of course, on TV, Lonesome Dove, you know.
Unforgiven.
And then, of course, Unforgiven in the early 90s. You know, every time they say this genre is dead, then some new classic, whether that be Tombstone, which you could see, I got Val Kilmer here on my wall over here.
Fantastic movie.
You know, and it keeps on going. And I think the reason is the stories I liken them to Greek mythology because they deal with elemental themes that are timeless. They deal with good, evil, and all that in between, heroes, villains, you know, all of the important aspects of the human condition. That's why I say they're like Greek myth, because they just stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with Joe. And again, I think that those people who call that genre dead or whatever, I mean, they were proved wrong so many times. It's just, I think for filmmakers, for making Westerns now, for independent filmmakers especially, I mean, Horizon is also kind of independent movie, right? Yeah, with $100 million budget, but still an independent movie, which Kevin Costner basically produced himself with his partners. In general, when you're making an independent movie, as Joe mentioned before, you have to have a plan. You have to have a game plan, not just for the movie, but for all the strategy for this movie. And for the Western especially, in my opinion, you just have to make sure that film really will be enjoyable for different kind of audience. And that's exactly what we're doing with Rio Bravo franchise. Mm-hmm. That's what we will do with the Wild West. And I think it's filmmakers' responsibility to make sure that others will never say again that those genres are dead. Because as you mentioned, Jan, Gunfight was able to show action and action stars and kind of like little different kind of Western, as well as Taken. And that's what others should do. We should just continue to make good movies, good movies, you know, because we're all obviously fans of these genres. action. I'm still a huge fan of action, like old school action. And now I'm a huge fan of Westerns. So I think if I personally respect my audience and have an idea of making something which they will really enjoy, Joe has the same idea, right? We have more chances to really provide. And I think that's what all filmmakers should have in mind, especially Western genre filmmakers, because again, it's an iconic genre. And now I know, and now I understand, and I have my hat, and I'm spinning gun sometimes just so I will not forget how to do that in between of if I train in home and all of that. It's all amazing. So we should continue to have fun, but also we should continue to make sure that that genre is very much alive.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, with like the Western kind of almost became the action movie as well, because like it's very similar sort of tropes. You've got like the lone hero or whatever against a bunch of bad guys, and that's because I love Westerns. I've always loved Westerns. Love all the Clint Eastwood movies and all that. Like Unforgiven is one of my favorite movies of all time, and you have Clint Eastwood playing roles like Dirty Harry or whatever, who could easily have just been like a sheriff in the Old West or whatever. It was just set in the modern day. So no, I don't think the Western's ever going to die, because like people thought old school action was dead as well after like the 80s and 90s, but it just evolves and changes. But it's still there, and that's the thing, and there's still people who always love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys go. Just finish off with this final question. What would you like audiences to take away from it?
Joe, you first.
I always like to say that I hope they have a great time. I hope they have fun, and I hope it makes them either want to see the films over and over, or it makes them at least want to see the next one that Alexander and I come out with. And I really want them to have a good time. As when I was a kid and I'd watch Hang 'em High for the first time on TV, and I was like, wow, this is the greatest movie. I can't wait till it comes on TV again. And I hope they kind of have that same reaction that I did all those years ago. And I hope that I think in this particular one, they will have a wild ride, because it's outrageous. It's parts of it there's some good lines that are really well written by Craig and well delivered in the film by all of our actors. And I think they'll have a great time, a great, fun time. And turn this movie up loud when you play it. Okay. I mixed it for that, especially.
Yes. And I agree with Joe. And I also, I always grateful to the audience who watch our movies. And I just hope that those positivity which me and Joe brings with our movies will help.
Yes.
Will help.
Absolutely.
Because unfortunately, right now, there's so much of the negativity on. And it doesn't matter what country are we in. I mean, it's just you start to watch news and all of that, unfortunately. But, it's like in movies. Good guys will always win. And people should remember that, And if our movies another reminder of that, and we bring more positivity and more optimism, that's, what will make me happy. So again, I'm really grateful to the audience, and Joe and me, we're really grateful to you for this show. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me, and I had a really good time, and look forward to chatting with you for the next one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And guys, if you're watching, remember, you are the Action Elite.